Hello everyone. In today's video, we will see the next part of your third module, that is illustration of design process. But before that, let me just tell you there are some classical techniques for reducing the complex of IC design. Okay, uh, they are there. It's classified into four types. One is called hierarchy. Second one is regularity. Next is modularity, and followed by lastly locality. Okay, hierarchy, regularity, modularity, and locality. So these are the some techniques which are used for reducing the complexity of IC design. So this hierarchy means it is divide and rule, or divide and conquer technique. So it involves dividing a module into submodules and then repeating this operation on the submodules until the complexity of the smaller parts becomes manageable. Okay, so one module is being divided into different submodules and then repeating this operation, it goes until the complexity becomes quite manageable and easy. So that is called as hierarchy. Next you have something called as regularity. So regularity means it is a hierarchical decomposition of large system. Okay, it should result not only in simple but also similar blocks, simple as well as similar blocks as much as possible. And this regularity, usually it reduces number of different modules that needs to be designed and verified at all levels of abstraction. That is regularity. And next, coming to modularity, there are various functional blocks which will make up larger system, and it should also have well defined functions and interfaces. So this larger systems which should have well defined functions and interfaces, and which makes a functional block is the modularity, and followed by locality. So locality means the internal details of the logical level. The concept of locality also ensures that the connections are mostly between the neighboring modules. If there are modules one and after one next to each other, so there are neighboring modules. It shows the connections of the neighboring modules, and it should also avoid long distance connections as much as possible. So these are the four main techniques for reducing the complexity of IC design, integrated circuit design. Now we will just see what are the illustration of design process. Okay, the structured design process begins with concept of hierarchy. As I told you, hierarchy means dividing module into submodule and repeating the operation on the submodule until the complexity becomes manageable. Complexity of the smaller parts becomes manageable. Okay, it begins with the concept of hierarchy. This involves dividing, as I told you, any complex function into less complex subfunctions. This can be done until bottom level referred to the leaf cell is reached. So this leaf cell, what is this leaf cell? Leaf cell means it is a plot where you design, like it's called as a floor plan. For the floor plan, just like how you do the foundation in a house, you know what are the components that should be placed in each and every area. So that is a leaf cell. That is the basic requirement of any IC. This process is known as top-down design. So from the top level to the bottom level, the design is made. It is called as top-down design. As system complexity increases, its organization changes as different factors become relevant to its creation. Then coupling can be used as a measure to the submodule interconnection. Clever system aims at minimum submodule interconnection, resulting in independent design. So what is this clever system? It's the best system out of all the designs possible. So this clever system aims at minimum submodule. What is the submodule? The module divided into submodules. So this submodule interconnection should be as minimum as possible, and it will result in independent design. Independent design means the whatever the designer does on his own wish and will, that is the independent design. Then concurrency should be exploited, so that all gates on the chip do useful work most of the time. As technology is changing fast, the adaptation to a new process must occur in a short time. So this is also very important. As technology is upgrading every day, there should be adaptation to a newer process, and it should be compatible, and within a short amount of time it should occur. So these are the illustrations of a design process. Now let's see the general arrangement of a 4-bit arithmetic processor. Okay, so as I told you, it is a microprocessor is being used. This is a 4-bit arithmetic processor which consists of a control bus, address bus, and data bus. You can see the connections from the control bus, address bus, and data bus to the control, ALU, and registers, which is called as a data path. Then this includes memory, and it includes input and output ports. So these are the main components and requirements of a 4-bit arithmetic processor. So what is this arithmetic processor? It is a process, very simple. It is a processor which is used to do arithmetic operations, is it not? And it is of 4-bit, which would have control bus, address bus, and data bus. So within these are the components which you can go through, and it has a unit which processes data when applied at one port and gives output at the second port. So one port you can think it as an input port, and one more port where you get the output is called as the output port. It is also possible that both data ports can be combined to form a single bidirectional port if storage facility is available in the data path. So I'll just show you how the data path looks like. So inside the data path, what it does is basic arithmetic and logic and shift operations and temporary storage of operands. It's not only the arithmetic operation it also does the logical operation. Logical operation means ANDing, ORing, NAND, NOT, all the logic operations, shift operations, shift left, shift right, and sometimes rotate operation also comes into picture, and temporary storage of operands. Why do they need to have a temporary storage of operands? Whenever you do the shift operation, 4-bit may not be sufficient, right? So in that case, it should be shifted to the next storage element. So in that case, the temporary storage of operands is done. Okay, it has the control, there is a data in and there is data out. Or it can also be thought of as, I told you the second point, it is also possible that the data ports can be combined to form single bidirectional port if storage facility is available in the data path. If storage facility is already available, it can be treated as data in and data out, where the control is already there. So this data path is same thing, which consists of basic arithmetic and logical and shift operations, and also temporary storage of operands. Okay, the communication strategy for data path can be seen like this. Okay, next we can see that the data path can be decomposed into having main subunits, as it will be helpful in deciding the possible floor plan. So that time I just told you the floor plan. So it can be thought as input and output port, which has the direction control. Then there are 4-bit registers with select and control, and there is a 4-bit ALU with operation control, and it should also have 4-bit end round shifter for shift control. So this will be the floor plan of the 4-bit arithmetic processor. See, this can be used to make different bus architectures. Okay, the bus architecture can be divided as 1 bus, 2 bus, or 3 bus architecture, which we will see in the next upcoming video. Okay, so basically what is a bus? Bus is nothing but a set of input and output lines, okay, or the wires which you can say that will be used for the communication of data from one place to the another place, right? So based on this, you have 1 bus, 2 bus, or 3 bus architecture. Thank you.